Greetings and welcome to the Dragon Kingdom. You know, that sounds a whole lot better than my old intro on my last channel. But anyway, today we are going to learn how to draw some hands. This is probably one of the most iconic problems when it comes to drawing. I always get questions about how do I draw hands? Where do I start? I just don't get the deal with hands. Even some professional artists, people who are paid, still have trouble drawing hands. And the reason that is they have so much emotion, so much life. They speak more than the character themselves does in the picture. If you can draw hands, you can get hired very quickly in the comic book industry, especially. When you go through each comic book page, you can definitely see how much hands are utilized, whether it be in the cover itself or each page where the character might be shooting some type of ball of energy, or they might be charging up a very powerful move, or just simply speaking. Hands are a very important part when you're drawing a character because of all the emotion that these things express. They're basically their own character. But enough talk. Let us begin.
But enough talk! How about you?
We're gonna start with a very simple emotion in the hands today. A palm, like this. Just your simple open hand expression. Nothing too crazy like Funny Bone's face up there. We're just gonna do something very simplistic. And we're gonna start with a very simple shape. Almost like a rounded square in a way. See, look, it's already just one shape. And we just have to add just a few more, and then voila, you got your hand pieced together. Now, I am going to change this up because Funny Bone is a very different man, so the hands are going to look a little bit different for me. So I'm going to make these hands look a little undead, because Funny Bone is a very bizarre guy. His hands aren't entirely normal. So we're going to start with that shape, and then we're going to start with going off to the side a little bit and forming a shape over there, and almost in the form of a thumb. Now, I hear some artists say they start with the fingers, but me, I like to start with the very base of my hand, the very palm of the hand, where all the fingers are connected to. And then I like to start to form shapes around that. Of course, 5. These shapes are usually in the form of peanuts. You might have heard that before, because all of the joints are basically like that. Now, you might see this in some comic book artists. They like to use this technique. I sort of use this technique for me. I like to start drawing like that, but because the fingers aren't all really chunky, I don't really like making my fingers look too chunky, and when I do that, they end up looking like that. I like my fingers to look a little bit thinner, because that's more my style. So I might start off by adding some shapes that look kind of like peanuts, but then I start to do something a little bit different. I start to straighten them up a little bit as they get closer to the edge. You know, the very tip of the fingertip. Now, I don't want to go too far into details themselves when it comes to drawing hands, because that is a whole nother ball game. Right now, I want you guys to get a good idea on what the shape of a hand is. The details will follow. We're just going to draw this hand. Just spread the fingers out just a little bit, because every time a hand is open, the expression might be a little bit different from the last time you did it. And I want each of Funny Bone's hands here to look a little bit different. So I'm actually going to do something a little bit creative with the very last hand. But for now, let's focus on this one. One thing you do have to keep in mind with the fingers themselves is the size of each finger. The index finger, first one, is not the longest, but it's also not the shortest. So make sure you keep that one a medium size. And of course, there is the middle finger, which is the longest of them all. Make sure the middle finger is the tallest finger amongst all of them. And then the one after that is basically the same size as the index finger. Then finally, the pinky, which is the smallest one of all. And of course, how could I forget the thumb? The thumb is the thickest. It's almost the same size as the pinky, but just bigger. It's thicker and girthier, like a Pixar mom's thighs. Anyway, those are the basics on how to draw a hand's shape. Now, the detail is a little bit different. Now, for you, just look at your hand. But before you do, here's a handy tip. Yeah. But as far as drawing hands goes, it's all about understanding the shapes. Even when you're doing the details, what makes the hand the hand? Look at all the bones that you see coming out of the hand there, the knuckles. You also see the muscles, like the tendons that hold the fingers together, that allow you to move them around in such a way. Everything about the hand, just take a good look at it and understand what makes it the way it is. Detail is a whole new video in itself, so I won't go too far into that right now. For now, let's take a look at the results of what Funny Bone looks like. Look how happy he is. He's got normal hands now, unlike the last time. I also did something to his face. I adjusted his face just a little bit. I thought his cheek didn't look right, so I made that look a little bit better. But yes, these are his undead zombie looking hands. I did something a little different with the other hand because I wanted to mix it up a little bit. I didn't want both of the hands to look exactly the same, so I made the other one tilt a little bit the other direction. But yes, that is how you do hands. And I apologize about the change in lighting, and I did add my Godzilla plushie over there to boost morale because it just seemed like a good idea. But alright, let's take a good look at Funny Bone and see how happy he is about his new hands. You guys did a great job, and I'm curious to see what else you have drawn. Please do jump over to my Twitter and shoot me a comment and tell me what you guys have drawn and all that. And hey, talk to me in the comments. I'm there as well. I'd love to see what you've drawn on my Twitter, and I'd love to hear your opinions on what you've drawn and what I've drawn as well. Tell me what you guys think about hands. What's your technique? Let me know. I'm really curious. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this little guide here. I will be having more in the future, so please do leave that thumbs up. That like is really appreciated as well, and the comment helps a ton as well. But until then, take it easy for me, and please do have a blessed day. And of course, I can't forget about the happy little tree we gotta draw in the corner here. Look how happy this tree is. There's no water here. The sun is so dry. Cut me down.